do is everyone's going to be on mute and their video's going to be off. And therefore, any discussion will come through the chat room like I spoke about earlier. It's a little bit cleaner that way. There's no interruptions. And it's very simple that way. Don't worry, we will address your questions after the meeting. At this point, I would like to introduce Bill Gesry. He's with Whitman Record Associations. They are the design consultant for this project, and he's going to go ahead and start this presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. Good evening, everyone. It's great to have everyone here with us tonight. Certainly, we appreciate the great turnout, and we wish you could see us. I think we're having some video issues, but nonetheless, just want to give you a brief overview of our agenda tonight. It's going to be about a 30-minute presentation, and you're going to learn a lot about, as Craig had said, what's going to happen over the next few weeks. As everyone's been talking about this project, it is going to be starting very soon. And so our goal tonight is really to give you some updates and some intel about what's going to happen next month in February. Literally 15 days from today, the project really starts in earnest. And so we are going to give you some information we hope will be very helpful. And as Craig had said, if you have questions, we'll be out here as long as we need to tonight. We'd love to take all your questions. And if we don't get to all of them, we'll certainly be able to respond to each and every one of you. So it's really important to get feedback. And without further ado, let me just kind of go over a real brief project description. For those of you that are new, you may not realize why we're here, why we've been working on this project. We've been working on this project for several years now. It's basically DelDOT has asked the design team to maintain the entire I-95 corridor through downtown Wilmington. Our goal really is to ensure a 30-year service life extension. Now, what that really means is we want to do all the repairs necessary to ensure that the entire corridor, bridges and highways, are in safe, good working condition. That doesn't mean that we're going to have little miscellaneous repairs here and there down the road. The goal is to take care of everything now so that for about 30 years we can avoid any major repairs, costs, and of course traffic impacts. So that's going to be really important to understand that. And obviously the project, you're probably aware of where it's located, obviously in Wilmington. This aerial shot, this is taken with north to your right. And it starts at the 495, 295, 95 split. It works its way past Frawley Stadium where the Blue Rocks play. And of course, the main part of the project is in downtown Wilmington. You have your residential area on both sides, and you have downtown here to the east. And it terminates right after the Brandywine River, just south of the 202 interchange. So it's about a 4 or 5 mile project. So what are we doing? Well, we're going to repair everything within that corridor I just showed you. 19 bridges, several miles of pavement, including all the on and off ramps that access downtown. We are also going to be adding an additional lane on Brandywine River Bridge. When I say an additional lane, what I really mean is we're going to add additional lane via striping, so you have 2 exit lanes to 202. That's going to be a safety improvement. We've also completed recently a lot of advanced projects. This photo here is, you might recognize if you take I-95. This is 2nd Street. This was just opened 3 weeks ago on schedule. And this is one of these advanced projects. And the goal of these advanced projects is to ensure that we can hit the ground running, as it were. We want to get a lot of the preliminary work done so our contractor can be as efficient as possible when the construction starts in a few weeks. Yeah, I'm just going to try to get to the next slide here. I'm having just bear with me, folks. I have a little technical difficulty here. Here we go. So here's what we really want to focus on tonight is our project schedule. As Craig had mentioned, we're really close to starting. And as I said a few minutes ago, in 15 days, we're going to start implementing some traffic control measures on I-95. And really what that means is our contractor, Kiewit Infrastructure, is going to be installing safety barriers, restriping the interstate. And the goal here is to ensure we have a safe work zone for their workers, as well as a safe highway for the motorists to travel. So this is going to start the night of February 12th. Actual construction is going to start on March 1st. Now, the reason for this gap is it's going to take Kiewit 2+ weeks to get all of these controls in place. If you remember, I showed you that aerial view. This is a 4 or 5 mile long corridor, so it's going to take them some time to do this. And we want to do it safely, so we want to give them enough time to do that. But The big thing to remember here is February 12th, we're going to be starting to take a lane on I-95. And in a minute here, Neil Leary is going to explain to you a little more in detail what to expect. I think one of the big goals here we've got is this 2 years of reduced lane capacity in I-95. We're committed to the 2 years. We're very confident of our schedule, and of course, weather permitting, we should be able to hit that 2 years. And of course, we'll do everything we can to minimize that or shorten that if possible. And of course, the overall construction is going to be 3 years, but the actual impacts to your commute on I-95 and using I-95, that's going to be 2 years. And here is a little teaser, if you will, about what it's going to be like once everything is set up and we start the real construction. Here is an aerial view of I-95. You can see here, here's Frawley Stadium on the right. Here's downtown Wilmington in the background. So I-95 northbound is going to be closed, and northbound and southbound traffic will share the southbound side of the interstate. Of course, there'll be a safety barrier to separate traffic. And this is what you'll see once the work gets started in March. But before then, what we want to focus on now is starting February 12th, for a 2-week period between then and March 1st, there's going to be some MOT or massive traffic controls that are being put in place. And those, like I said, are necessary to ensure a very safe work zone. So I'd like to bring up to the podium, as it were, our lead traffic engineer, Neil Leary, and he's going to walk you through what to expect once this work starts on the 12th of February. Neil?
Thank you, Bill. Implementing the first phase of construction will occur over what we're calling a super weekend, starting at night on February 12th. There will be lane closures along I-95 southbound all weekend in order to remove and install pavement markings, remove and install guide signs over the roadway, and begin the installation of concrete safety barrier. On the morning of February 15th, I-95 southbound traffic will be in its new temporary traffic pattern for Phase 1A construction. As shown in the graphic, the new temporary traffic pattern results in reducing the number of travel lanes on I-95 southbound 24/7 from 3 lanes to 2 lanes, and in areas with only 2 lanes today, only 1 lane will be provided. This temporary pattern will remain in place until fall/winter 2021. Go ahead, Bill, next slide. In addition, over the super weekend, there will be a need to do nighttime, want to stress nighttime closures of I-95 southbound on Saturday and Sunday night in order to remove and install new temporary guide signs which happen to span the entire width of the southbound roadway, requiring these closures. All lanes on I-95 South traffic will be directed to exit the interstate at exit 6 and use Jackson Street to Lancaster Avenue, to MLK Jr. Boulevard, to Market Street, to access 495 South to get to 95 South. I-95 northbound will remain open during that closure. Next slide, Bill. The following week will entail installing the remaining pavement markings, temporary guide signs, and concrete safety barrier that will ultimately separate I-95 northbound and southbound traffic on the southbound roadway, hence the teaser picture that Bill showed you earlier. This work will require some off-peak closures on I-95 South. Next slide, Bill.
I'm with you. I'm just got these old computer keys here trying to get this. Just bear with me, everybody. Here we go.
Okay. In addition, during that following week, there will need to be 2, again, nighttime closures of I-95 southbound to install the concrete safety barrier that's in the city center area where there is insufficient width on the roadway to safely maintain traffic and install the concrete safety barrier. During these closures, all lanes of I-95 South traffic will be directed to exit the interstate at exit 7B and use Jackson Street to Lancaster Avenue to Adams Street to the new 2nd Street ramp to get back onto I-95 South. Again, I-95 northbound will remain open. I want to reiterate, these dates can change outside of the control of DelDOT or the contractor. For example, weather could play a part in this. But this is the current schedule of events to start the implementation of the first major phase of construction for this project. Upon completion of this work, I-95 northbound will begin to be impacted, which will be explained in a future public workshop. Go ahead, Bill. Removing a travel lane 24/7 on I-95 will impact traffic, but DelDOT has been very proactive in developing solutions to mitigate these impacts. First effort is informing motorists to use the many alternative routes to get in and out of the city. These include 495, which has sufficient spare capacity to accommodate additional traffic, US 13, and state routes 2, 3, 4, and 9, just to name a few. In addition, as many of you are already aware, DelDOT has made improvements on several alternative routes to accommodate diverted traffic, including improvements on 12th Street for motorists using I-495 and at the I-95 State Route 3 Marsh Road interchange. These are improvements motorists can see, but DelDOT has done a lot more to mitigate traffic impacts associated with this project. DelDOT will be taking control during construction the operation of over 200 traffic signals within the city of Wilmington. These traffic signals will be able to remotely be controlled from the Traffic Management Center in Smyrna. DelDOT has been installing traffic monitoring devices on all the alternative major routes in and out of the city and within the city to be able to use that data to real-time modify traffic signal timing based on current traffic conditions. That will significantly reduce congestion. DelDOT is also installing an active traffic management system on the major alternative routes leading into the city to give travel time info on the time to enter the city using I-95 and the alternative route. This will enable motorists to make an informed decision on which route to take, which will reduce, again, the overall congestion associated with this project. Another effective way to mitigate traffic impacts is through the use of commuting solutions, which will be explained in significant detail later within this presentation. Yeah, Bill? Lastly, we all know that crashes can result in significant traffic impacts, especially within a work zone this complex. DelDOT is aware and has taken steps to minimize the traffic impacts associated with crashes. First, we have worked with the city, county, state, EMS reps, including police, fire, ambulance, and air response units, and have developed playbooks to provide information on responding to an incident given the work zone setup. We've actually developed 19 different playbooks for just the first phase of construction alone. Second, tow trucks will be on site during morning and evening rush hours and on call in close proximity to 95 during the remaining hours of the day. The tow trucks will be deployed throughout the duration of construction to quickly remove vehicles from the roadway and reduce the congestion that's associated with crashes during construction. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, Neil. Obviously, you know what to expect. Any construction zone, we all realize that there's going to be noise, there's going to be dust, and I can tell you that our contractor, Kiewit, their contract requires them to do the work in accordance with the DelDOT noise policy. We actually have sent in the paperwork for a noise waiver, but the important thing is, we can't eliminate these issues, noise and dust and so on, but we can minimize them. And so we've asked our contractor, Kiewit Infrastructure, and County Aaron here shortly to talk to you about what their plan is to mitigate and minimize these nuisances. So Donnie, if you want to just give folks just an overview of your approach, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. So first of all, we all recognize this is a construction project, but we certainly need to be good neighbors to all the folks that live up and down the corridor. But with any construction project, there does come noise, certainly from backup alarms, which are required by OSHA. And with construction equipment in general, with hydro demolition, there are pumps that run this machinery. And then certainly there's a lot of concrete rehabilitation that takes place that will require concrete demolition. With dust and debris, our company is very committed to using a lot of water controls to keep the dust down from any demolition, which is also an OSHA requirement to protect the safety of our workers. We'll be implementing a lot of water controls to make sure that we keep dust to an absolute minimum. on anything that requires concrete demolition or excavation. We've also spent the last several months on an early work package installing demolition shields throughout the entire corridor. And so these shields protect the roadways and any pedestrians that are below our work site to keep everyone safe. And those also capture any debris and water that come from these operations. And then last but not least, there will be a lot of nighttime work when we have lower traffic volumes that allow our trucks to get in and out of work sites. And the reason why we are implementing nighttime work is to try to keep this project to as short a schedule as possible, which we mentioned was approximately 2 years. So again, we stress that we understand we have to be very good neighbors, and we will do everything we can to keep all these impacts to a minimum.
Thanks, Donnie. I appreciate the feedback. And certainly, if folks have questions for Donnie about the construction, about noise or dust, please ask him a question. He's the expert. He'll certainly be able to help you. So we invite you to stay on once the presentation is done, and we can get all of your questions answered. So I think we're having some more. We got quite a few people on tonight, so our presentations are running really slow. So if you appreciate everyone just bears with us as we get to the next slide here. So I'm going to reload the presentation, folks. I apologize. We just want to make sure So apologize for that. But while we had everyone together here, we did want to give you a quick update on the SR 141 project because it is so close to the I-95 corridor. So Sierra McLeod from the Department of Community Relations will give you a quick update.
So hi everyone, this is Sierra McLeod, Director of Community Relations for DelDOT. And yes, we're focusing on the 95 project this evening, but wanted to take a minute to provide an update on another significant project, which is the ongoing reconstruction of Route 141 from the I-95 interchange to J Drive up near the Air National Guard and County Airport. This 3-year project began in August 2019 and continues to make progress in what ultimately will be a completely rebuilt and improved interchange and corridor between Newcastle and Newport. So we know everyone is eager to see this project finished, and at this time the project is on schedule for completion in spring of 2022. And we've made adjustments to get the remaining work done on I-95 first, where the new bridges are being built, so that there will be minimal impact on I-95 traffic as this project gets underway. So the department has worked hard over the past 2 years to complete dozens of projects in and around the city and has not scheduled other projects that would impact primary detour routes until after the 95 project is done. So we're very sensitive to that, and we'll continue to keep the public updated as the 141 project moves towards completion, and know it will be welcome news to have this done.
Thanks, Sierra. So before we wrap up our presentation, one of the elements that's really critical is commuting solutions. Obviously, we'd like to have as many people avoid taking I-95. The less traffic we have, the better off we'll be. And so the department has come up with some options for those that commute or live and work around the area to be able to get to where they need to go. So we've got Kathleen Greer with us tonight from Delaware Commute Solutions to go through some of the options that'll be available to you. Kathleen? Kathleen, are you on mute?
Bill, I'm not sure she's on. Julie, are you on? You may have to do it yourself, Bill.
Well, I certainly can. I think this is, it's pretty self-explanatory. And what's been happening over the last several months has been working with DART to really.
Excuse me, Bill. I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. All right, everybody here. This is Kathleen Greer.
Excuse me. I had to unmute everyone in order to have access. So a little difficulty. Sorry about that. So
that's all right. Take it away.
To mute people, let me know. Anyway, good evening, Bill. Like you said, Kathleen Greer. I am the program manager with the Delaware Community Solutions Group. And if that name is new to you, we were formerly called Delaware. And so I know, we just learned about the most up-to-date information regarding the physical construction of I-95. And so now I'm just going to walk you through what commuting solutions information, tools, and services are available to you so you can plan out your work commute and also your personal travel during the Restore the Corridor project. So starting with the DART buses. So DART, they understand that the bus travel will be impacted by the Restore the Corridor project. So DART has already went through the approval process and have their service and fare changes to become effective on February 14th. And that's going to certainly help with the of traffic and the impacts of the project. That will be redirected away from I-95 to and from Wilmington to help, the anticipated delays in the travel time. The buses that will be rerouted away from I-95 to and from Wilmington are Route 33, which will enter Wilmington via the I-495 and US 13. There's going to be Route 40, and that will travel along US 13 instead of serving Christian Mall, at 995.
Talking about buses and stuff. We have to take the bus to get to the mall now.
If
Hey, Kathleen, hold
some
on.
of the attendees don't mind, if you would put yourself on mute, that would be great. Thank you. Another one of the routes is Route 54 and 55, and that's going to serve, Christiana Mall. That will not go into Wilmington. In addition, some of the routes will be combined to more to gain more efficiency, such as routes 10 and 34 will now become the new Route 10. The routes 12 and 25 will become the new Route 25. If you could go to the next slide, Bill, that'd be great.
I would love to. I think we've got so many folks on tonight, which is great. We're having some technical difficulties. I'm going to go ahead and get back out of the
and I can talk through because I can just talk through the next one. So some of the additional changes that DART's going to be implementing with their service change are 7 service extensions. So it's to their existing routes. They're going to have extensions to that. One, just to give you an example of one of the service extensions is Route 64. So that's going to service Christiana Mall. That's going to go up Route 7. And it's also going to have weekend service. And just so you know, all of the service change information is available at the dartfirststate.com website. One of the other Newcastle County improvements to further assist with travel times is that DART will be adding a new bus lane on
Kathleen, we lost you.
Excuse me. One of the other things I just don't want you to forget about is the ability to make bus transfers at the new Wilmington Transit Center. And with the newly reduced fares taking effect on February 14th, the daily pass will now be $4. And so that's really, there's no additional cost when you're transferring, when you're using the daily pass. If you could go to the next slide, that would be great. And so some of the other things that DART has available. So they have some great, easy to use tools for riders. And so these tools, they can be used to access, you can access them by downloading the DART app, or through the DART First State website. The tools will help with bus planning, maps of the bus routes and the stops, bus information in real time. And they also have the touchless payments can be made by using the DART Pass app. And there's one other thing too, when you're using the DART Pass app, you can take advantage of the 7 and 30-day passes through that app. And another great addition to DART services is that all of the buses have free Wi-Fi now. And one of the other things that you can stay in touch with DART is through, their social media platforms too. So, you have their website, you have the app, the transit app, but you can also stay in touch with them through the social media. We can go to the next slide.
Kathleen, I would love to.
The next slide, I'm just gonna
Well,
keep going. When you get to it, you could do it as reference. But another one of the commuting solutions is, so SEPTA has restored service. That started on January 24th. And so in SEPTA, they have stations at Wilmington, Fairplay, at Churchman's Crossing, and Newark. They are going to offer some specific peak time trains. So they actually, they started doing this. So it's 4 northbound trains, and that's from Newark. And then they have 3, this is in the AM, the AM peak time. And then they have 3 trains that start from Wilmington. And then during the PM, they are actually going to have 4 during the PM peak time. They will have 4 in each direction, northbound and southbound. The one thing that SEPTA is adding is a 9:16 PM train, and that is from Wilmington to Philadelphia. And again, we just want to stress too, one of the fastest options for commuting is going to be by train. The one thing that's not on the slide here is that for any questions, you can contact SEPTA directly, and you can get that information through the SEPTA.org website, and you can get their telephone number and the direct link to their website. If you actually go into the restorethecorridor.com, there are different tabs at the bottom of the screen. And if you would select commuting solutions, you'll be able to access all of the direct contact information for SEPTA. We can go to the next slide. And while we're switching, we're already at the next slide. There we go. So another commuting resource available to you is through Delaware Commute Solutions. So our team is available to assist employers and all commuters with navigating the Restore the Corridor information throughout the full project. We want to ensure that all commuters understand how the project will impact their individual work commutes and their personal travel during the project. One of the things our staff can do is work directly with employers to assist with employee communications. We can do that virtually or in person. We can customize communication tools for your employees, commuting options, plans, planning for commuting. We could do individual sessions, and we can actually set up maybe some, try it days with your staff. And as part of our outreach services, we directly work with individual commuters to prepare customized clean commute plans that fits, the individual needs. And one of the things too, when you are a clean commuter in Delaware and become a member of the Delaware Commute Solutions free service, you can utilize the Guaranteed Ride Home program. So that is a special offering just in case there's an emergency that comes, the unplanned event that happens when you get to work. And then also you can be rewarded for every clean commute that you take. So I just want to encourage everybody to work on, a commute plan, know your options, know that, we're here if and when you would need assistance. My contact information is on the slide. You can contact me directly, or one of the other ways to get in touch with anyone that's on the call tonight and is presenting is to use the restorethecorridor.com website. And we think of it as a stop shop access to all the necessary information and links during the whole project. So I will turn it back over to you, Bill.
Thanks a lot, Kathleen. That was great information. Actually, you stole my thunder because we definitely did want to talk about the Restore the Corridor website. I just want a couple of points here before we wrap up for the night and start taking questions. It's our public outreach campaign, and we've been doing this for several years now. We're glad we have a huge crowd tonight, hundreds of people. So it's great to see that everyone is joining us. We've done a lot, not just with the community, but also with first responders. Fire and police and so on. And one thing that's unique to this project is we have an actual liaison between the contractor, the public, and the contractor to make sure that we have a consistent message that's being distributed to the community. And for those of you that use a cell phone to get in and around the city of Wilmington, if you have the Del.Dot app, You should also make sure you see the Restore the Corridor button on your app. It'll give you real-time information about what's happening, updates about what's going on with the construction, and it'll help you get around. And as Kathleen had said, this website, the Restore the Corridor, this is our backbone for our entire public outreach program. It's where you can find everything you need to know about this project, things that are happening. It's up to date almost every day. There's a frequently asked question page and a lot of good information that will help you navigate through this construction over the next couple of years. Certainly, if you do visit the site, we encourage you to sign up for email and text alerts, as well as, of course, follow DelDOT social media, Facebook and Twitter. And last but not least, the department has developed a guide to help folks get around the city during the construction. That is available on the Restore the Corridor website, and hard copies will be available if you'd like them as well. So, yeah, we had a few technical difficulties, but we got through it, and we appreciate everyone's patience. And we're also very happy and thankful that we got a good crowd tonight. So we'd love to take your questions at this point. So I will hand it back over to our Master of Ceremonies, Craig Stevens. So Craig, you want to take it away?
Thank you, Bill. Great job. Thank you, Donnie, and thank you, Kathleen, for working through those issues. We really appreciate it. So a little bit of 2020 has bled into 2021, I guess. Nothing will be the same. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the questions that came through the chat room while the presentation was going on, and I have done my best to go through and pick out the questions. I will say this ahead of time, individual commute type questions like how do I get from my house to X, Y, or Z, I have taken those down and we can reach out to those people individually after this, because sometimes we would get bogged down with some of those questions. So without further ado, I think the first question that I saw in there, these are in order. And so some of these were answered by the presentation, but I'm going to act as if they were not, because maybe you came in late or something like that. So my first question is, will the merge onto 95 North from Delaware Avenue be fixed so drivers have better visibility? Right now, the visibility is extremely dangerous with barriers in place. Neil, Bill, or Donnie, would one of you guys like to chime in about that?
Yeah, Craig, this is Neil. Yeah,
Okay.
Part of this project, the merge condition right now from Delaware Avenue onto northbound 95, it is a very short merge condition right at the Brandywine River Bridge. As Bill indicated earlier, as part of this project, that ramp will actually come on as an add lane, as its own lane onto 95 northbound and continue all the way to 202, eliminating the need to have the merge in immediately as it is today. So yes, it will be addressed, Craig.
Thank you, Neil. Anybody, if you want to add to that answer, just interrupt me. If not, I'm going to move on to, I have a noise question, which we did cover. But this one is referring to noise at night. So I was going to refer this to Donnie of Kiewit. And the question is, what will be done to minimize nighttime noise, which is a real concern for people living near I-95?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. Being that, we're going to be in contraflow traffic, as Neil described, we can only gain a lot of access to some of the work zones with our trucks to load out debris and things at night. But we're going to work very hard to try to sequence our work to where the loudest noises occur during the day shift, and we do our best to minimize at night. But in order to meet this schedule and a lot of the restrictions that are inherent to the traffic restrictions do require some nighttime work. But our goal is to get it done as soon as possible and try to minimize as much as we can.
Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it. Next question is, the loss of the on-ramp from South Jackson Street to Lancaster Avenue seems like a huge bottleneck now that everyone has to go around the block to the 2nd Street ramp. How was that studied and analyzed? Neil?
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Craig. So yes, this was studied. We looked at it, which was the reason that we added the additional left turn lanes so that you had double left turn lanes around the 3 left turns that are required to make the movement. Right now, we are monitoring that condition. We are updating the signal timing in that area, and it will be updated prior to the project starting on the February 12th to enhance and make sure that we don't have congestion within those blocks. So I appreciate the comment. And those are the kind of comments we're going to want throughout construction, feedback from the community on issues they see so that we can get out there, like I said, in real time and make modifications based on where we're seeing congestion. So again, thank you.
No problem. Next question is during the construction, and I got to be honest, I don't know the answer to this. So CR perk up here, and maybe Kathleen knows this. I don't know, but during the construction, will the Commodore Barry Bridge institute a frequent driver discount like the Delaware Memorial Bridge currently offers? Anybody? Crickets?
So the Commodore Barry Bridge is operated by a different entity in Pennsylvania. So I'm not aware of any discount plans that they would be offering at this time.
I don't either, and I would suggest that person to reach out to go online and Google search, and try to reach out to those that are in charge of that bridge. Sorry, we don't know the direct answer to that. Moving on. Neil, you're a pretty popular guy here, so you might as well stay unmuted. How will traffic diverted to surface streets be handled? I'm not really sure which surface streets are. I'm assuming that's the streets down in Wilmington off the viaducts.
Yeah, so in particular, the question came in about Concord Avenue and living near Baynard. And yes, we do expect that there will be increased traffic from 202 that elects not to use 95 to continue on the Concord and either use Baynard to Washington to come into the city or 13 as an alternative. So yes, we do expect there is the potential for some increased traffic there. But that's one of the areas where, again, those traffic signals are now under DelDOT's control. We will be administering those, monitoring them, and making sure we make adjustments to accommodate that diverted traffic. But in terms of, if I had a crystal ball, I can maybe make an assumption on where we think traffic's going. I will say, as part of the plan, we are pushing people to use the main alternative routes. Can't stress that enough. 495 has excess capacity. We want people to use those routes as the primary diversion to get in and out of the city. 495, 13 are two great routes that can supplement the additional loss in capacity on 95.
Thank you, Neil. I got another one for you, if you don't mind hanging on there. Looking at the design, 2 lanes each direction on the northbound side to start looks tight to even do that. So my guess is no shoulders. I'm reading you the question, by the way. What is the plan for cars that break down, accidents, et cetera? We did talk about this, but maybe you could reiterate, because I got a lot of questions on this. And the constituent wanted to state that they could see complete blockage both directions.
So yes, that's a very good question. And yes, in a cattle chute condition, there are instances where if there is an incident or a crash and there is a breakdown, it could block the whole roadway. And through our workings with the EMS community, that was one of the big things we talked about, is the potential that would block traffic, and then how would they actually get to the incident location. So working with them, we actually came up with a way where they would come in the opposite direction, and we are providing breaks in the barrier that would separate northbound and southbound traffic in that temporary condition to allow for emergency vehicles to traverse from one side of the road at increments that they selected based on where they would actually come in on a ramp in the opposing direction. So, like I said, there's been a lot of thought put into how to respond. And then from a tow truck perspective, as I mentioned, there will be tow trucks on site. One of the things we are going to work with Kiewit on is where we can stage the tow truck such that it's the most efficient way for him to respond to a breakdown or an incident anywhere within the corridor limits. They will be on site full time during the rush hour. So, you're talking 6 to 9 and you're 3 to 6 in the PM when you have your heaviest traffic. And then they will be on call within a close proximity to the project site for the remaining hours of the day and throughout the duration of construction.
Excellent. Thank you again, Neil. Stay close, Neil. Who was the selected contractor was another question. We're excited to announce, and it has been for a while now, Kiewit, and you heard from Donnie during the presentation, who is representing Kiewit today. We had another around-the-clock construction question. I'm just going to say that, yes, it is going to be around the clock. Here's one that's a little long. Neil, sorry, here you go again, but will anything be done about the left lane on-ramp just south of Wilmington, okay? It strikes me as incredibly dangerous, especially given the poor visibility of the ramp itself and the extremely short merge area and the short distance to try to cross several lanes if one excuse me, reading too fast, if one wishes to exit on Route 7. And they've asked that you try your best to answer this, Neil.
So obviously, Route 7, we're talking south, where Christiana interchange.
I think so, yes.
So nothing will be done as part of this project for that, but surely we can take this comment here, evaluate it, and get a response to the individual that asked the question. But the short answer, Craig, is obviously this project is not looking or not going to be doing upgrades at the Christiana interchange.
Good, yes. And so what we'll do is we'll highlight this question and get back, post an answer, because we will be posting questions and answers. And again, a lot of questions about this, whether or not this presentation will be posted. It will be posted as soon as possible on the website, restorethecorridor.com, just so you know. I got another question about emergency vehicles and how they get through. I think you've addressed that, Neil, so I'm going to move on. I got a couple more questions about 141. Basically stating that maybe there's some issues that we have both 141 under construction and 95. And I had a question about when 141 was going to be completed. So CR, since you did the presentation on that, I was wondering if you would like to address those or readdress those, I should say.
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, that this project is on schedule to be completed in spring of 2022. So they're working on the last two bridges of this project right now that go over 95. So we've made adjustments to get that remaining work on I-95 done first, so that there will be minimal impact on I-95 project on the I-95 traffic as this project gets underway. So. We understand everyone's eager to get that done. This has been a massive project. We're going to have an additional lane in each direction through this corridor when this project's completed. So it's going to be a much improved and safer corridor once we get this 141 project done.
Thank you, CR. Well put. Okay. Moving on here. This is an interesting question. Jason Hastings, are you on via phone? Can you hear me? Maybe not, but I thought maybe he would want to join in. But why is this project starting in the winter when there can be inclement weather situations and snow plows? I can answer that if Jason's not able to chime in.
I could also chime in once you're done as well.
Well, go ahead, Donna. You can take it away.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've been working with DelDOT for over a year on this during pre-construction. And we really tried to sequence our schedule to where we did a lot of weather dependent activities in the spring, summer, and fall out of the cold weather months. So us actually starting some of this pre-work is not as weather dependent. And that will allow us to start hydro demolition, which is very water dependent in the warmer temperatures. And then also asphalt can't go down during cold temperatures. So we've also sequenced our schedule for other things such as asphalt that it happens during warmer temperatures. I know it seems like, hey, we're starting in February, but we're really just getting all the job site prepped to allow for work to happen in favorable weather windows.
Correct. And I was going to say the same thing. Basically, there's certain activities that are more weather dependent than others. So we have really worked hard with Kiewit. We have done construction management planning schedules over and over to try and analyze the way to get out of your hair as quickly as possible. And that's when the start, you work backwards, however you want to say it, but the start was best if we did it February, March. But interesting question. Thank you. Next one is, has downtown companies been asked to stagger their start times once COVID emergency is lifted? And I assume that's because of this project. We have met with many businesses, and Bill, you can chime in if you remember exactly how many. But basically, we have told them about this. They're parts of our community advisory group. We've sat down with, we presented this, and we have suggested that maybe that would be a good idea. And we have given them the option to do that. But as far as DelDOT's concerned, we've communicated with all these businesses and have asked them to please communicate with their employees and maybe implement some schedule changes if possible. Bill or anyone else, did you want to add to that? CR, anybody?
Yeah, Craig, you're right. I mean, we did talk to as many businesses, Capital One, Barclays, Christiana Hospital. And, I think CR would agree. We're always willing to go out and talk to groups and businesses. We've been saying all along we want to get the word out, and that's certainly what we'd like to do. I know, CR, Linda, if you've got two other major businesses that I might have missed, but yes, we have been coordinating with them for the last couple of years.
That's correct. And again, we can't make any make a business alter their schedule, but we've had a lot of great engagement with the business community in Wilmington. And I think companies are looking at what their needs are and making changes as they see fit to ensure that they can continue operating. The city is going to be open for business. That's an important thing we want to stress through this project. While 95 is under construction, there are still alternate routes to get into the city. And we want to make sure that our business community is able to do what they need to do to meet the needs of their customers.
Thank you. Thanks to both of you. Neil, sorry if you answered this before, but will a dedicated left turn signal be installed on Baynard to turn on to Concord Avenue going northbound?
No, Craig, I did not. So right now, no, that is not currently planned as part of the project, but that is an intersection that we are going to monitor. We do know that there is the potential for, again, that traffic that's destined to 202, for people leaving the city to potentially use Baynard to make a left turn on the Concord Avenue. The opposing volume, southbound on Baynard is a relatively low volume. But again, if we see that left turn volume is significantly increasing and there's delay, then that is a solution we potentially could look at. But again, it is one of the many intersections, Craig, that we flagged that we will be monitoring once construction starts.
Thanks, Neil. Okay, and there was an interesting question about will there be temporary rest stops if there's traffic jams, et cetera? And I'm not aware of any temporary rest stops. I'm going to go to the next question. If anyone wants to chime in, just interrupt me, please. I got another question about emergency vehicles, and I'm only saying that because I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring any of these questions. I really do want to answer them, but this person said it'd be hard to get to an accident. I think we've addressed that. If you have more questions or you don't feel like we have, please go on to restorethecorridor.com and email a question, and we'll be happy to get back to you. With northbound traffic sharing southbound lanes, will all exits be available, Neil? Now, we got a couple questions about exits. Can you do your best just to explain, because it is a little confusing about the exits that will be open?
Yeah, so good question. So northbound traffic will be put on to the southbound side of the roadway in the vicinity of the 295 interchange. So the current exit 6 to MLK and the current exit 7 to Delaware Avenue, they will be closed in the first phase, 1A. However, the ramp from MLK to southbound 95 will actually be converted to a new northbound temporary ramp. So as you come northbound, you will actually take the ramp today that's from MLK to southbound. It will now become the new temporary exit 6 and 7 to get into the city.
Gotcha. Are we losing her? Were you done, Neil?
I'm done, Craig.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. We've been cut off a few times. I wasn't sure. Thank you, Neil. Moving on, let me read through some of these are about getting the slide deck, which is a harken back to the olden days. I remember sitting with my family watching slides. How loud? Now, Donnie, I don't know if you can answer this, but someone did ask, how loud in decibels do you anticipate the sound will be? I would have to do research to find this out. I'm not sure if, Donnie, if you know something off the top of your head, what the average is, but if you don't, that's fine. But do you mind chiming in there?
Yeah, Craig, I don't have that answer. I think also a lot of it depends on distance from where you're monitoring the sound.
Right.
But as I mentioned, it'll be your traditional, construction equipment noise, and then we are going to be demolishing concrete and loading trucks with concrete. So that's the types of noise you'll be hearing.
Hey Craig,
Okay.
if I could jump in there, that's actually a good question because Donnie had mentioned we're going to do hydro demolition, and hydro demolition is removing concrete with high pressure water jets. We actually did do some noise studies, and it turns out the hydro demolition is not much louder than normal truck traffic on an interstate. So while it's certainly not quiet, it's not much louder than truck traffic. Now, obviously, jackhammers are a little bit louder. But the hydro demolition, I can tell you, if you're standing right next to it, it's about 95 to 97 decibels, which is not much different than if you happen to be standing near the interstate and the truck rumbles by. So as far as the hydro demolition goes, not a lot of difference. Obviously, the jackhammer is going to be a little louder. And as Donnie said, if you're standing right next to it, that's one thing. But if you're standing 100 yards away, it will be less noticeable.
Gotcha. Thank you. What nights during the week will this work be done? Donnie, sorry, got one more for you.
No, it's fine. So right now, we would anticipate that we're going to be working certainly during the week, 5 days a week. And then, being that it's an aggressive schedule, fast paced, we will be working a lot of Saturdays on critical path work. We're trying to avoid Sundays at all possible, unless if we were to lose a significant amount of work during the week due to weather. So Sundays would be very limited. Certainly, there's going to be a lot of Monday through Saturday work.
Okay, thank you. I got some other things about the emergency response, especially during beach traffic, and we've been working with emergency responders on that. Moving on, what will the impact on users of the Brandywine Park, especially North Park Drive, be? Bill, I know that's the Brandywine Bridge, but do you have an answer for that?
Yes, obviously we'll be doing some work. And we do want to make sure it's a safe work zone. So there'll be detours for folks that want to use the park. So the park's going to stay open and there will be parking. It might be relocated, but we'll have signs up to direct you to the parking and the trails. So rest assured, we are not going to close the park. We'll make sure, and I'm sure Donnie will attest, it's going to make it as a safe work zone as possible so everyone can still enjoy the park.
Thank you. I believe this question came up when we were talking to a local group, but there's a Lewis Elementary School, which is right along I-95 near Jackson and Van Buren. They're concerned about the dust and the precautions that maybe the contractor can take to reduce the dust. So Donnie, do you mind just reiterating what is used to reduce the dust when we're doing demolition? Sounds like I lost him.
I'm here, Craig.
Okay, sorry.
So number one, certainly dust is very important. Keeping that under control when it comes to the traveling public and residences to make sure we don't get dust on houses and cars. Also, as important is just the safety for our workers. So there are strict silica guidelines that OSHA has published over the last few years. And for those that don't know Kiewit, we take safety absolutely the most important thing to us. So we have very strict silica standards. And what that means is that we are, our corporate policy and OSHA requires that we control that dust through several means, primarily being water control. So you will see that we have to control that dust not only to keep, the residents and the public safe, but also our workers. So you will see a lot of those controls in place on this project.
Thank you. Kathleen, please respond if you're on and you can hear me, because I have a question about DART.
Okay, I'm here.
Here's the question. It's a little vague, but I thought maybe you would be able to understand it better. What is the alternate plan for people who utilize DART for work from Wilmington?
I guess I'm not certain of what they're asking as far as an alternate to DART, because what DART has done to alleviate some of the stress for the bus routes, is adding that bus lane coming in from US 13 and adjusting some of their bus schedules. So it might be that their particular commute, we could look at that commute and see what they're looking for, because it maybe we could work on a customized plan for them.
Okay, now that sounds good. That would harken to the whole deal with the individuals. So again, please look at that. This will be posted and you will see the different routes, and you can contact Dart if you have any questions too about which routes are going to be adjusted, and anyone on this phone call too, we can get you in touch with the right people. Neil, I'm going to take this one's kind of for you, but it says West 10th Street is closed. If the on-ramp from I-9 to I-95 North at West 10th Street is closed, how do I get onto the freeway? And I know that we're going to have all detour maps and everything posted on the Restore the Corridor website. And Neil, I'm not sure that we need to go into. Did you want to add anything to that without going into the exact detour?
Yeah, that is correct. There will be a signed detour in place. This is a detour that we are actually, without getting too far into the weeds, but we are, it's taking 11th Street to Jefferson, the 12th, and we are making improvements at intersections along that detour route to accommodate the diverted traffic. Those improvements, in terms of adding additional left turn lanes and modifying the signal phasing, will be completed before we actually start the February 12th date. That's what I can say.
Okay, thank you. CR, I got a question for you. Two questions. Did we have this scheduled till 8?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, because we got a lot of people chiming in here, so we may be here for a while. And I wanted to scan through maybe to find the most important ones, or the ones I thought were important. Everybody's are important, but maybe the ones that are broader. Remember, we will also, if your questions are not asked, we will do our best to respond to them on a question and answer that will be posted on the internet site. So basically, this question is, have there been discussions to incentivize businesses to retain work from home arrangements for employees so as to maintain the current decrease in I-95 use? And as I stated in CR, I'm going to call on you in just a second to see if you know of anything, but we have presented to many of these businesses, like we stated before, and given them the option to do that. I don't think that DelDOT ourselves have given them any incentives. Having trouble with that word. CR, did you want to chime in on that?
That's correct. We've presented to dozens of businesses in and around the city about the project. We're aware that some are looking at how they can improve the flow of employees to and from their buildings. But again, we can't mandate that. We have not incentivized that in any way. So it's really up to each individual organization to make those decisions for themselves.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't know who wants to take this. CR, stay on. Has there been any thought given to when President Biden will be in town, which is actually a pretty big issue. So do you mind addressing that?
We work closely with the state police, Secret Service, and county police for all things related to presidential travel. So we're made aware of when that's going to be happening. We're not aware of any that's upcoming, but surely over the next 2 years that could potentially be an issue. And we'll obviously work with them to route that traffic, route the motorcade traffic around this project, and do our best to ensure that it doesn't cause any significant delays and issues in regards to I-95 use. So again, we do have a close working relationship with all those parties, and we'll continue to do so. And they're well aware of the work that's going to be happening around Wilmington over the next couple of years.
Thanks, CR. Next question was, will 495 South take me around the construction area? Yes, if you get on 495 South, you will avoid this construction area. There's something else that was brought up in our emergency responders meeting, and we have since addressed that. It's about the gun victims in the city and where they can be treated, triage and stuff. I would like to reply to that individually and let them know what the decision was on how to deal with that. But that has been ongoing communication with emergency responders, and all of our emergency response plans have been distributed to each emergency response group, and they've been able to give us responses, comments, etc. Did you want to add anything special to that, Neil? I know you've been very involved.
No, Craig. I think this was an issue that was brought up by the EMS representatives about the issue when there's gun violence in the city and how to transport people to a trauma center. One of the reasons we actually specifically met with the air response units was to potentially take advantage of them, and actually on our playbooks, we actually identified the landing areas that they currently use to transport victims. So that issue was discussed, Craig, and if there was an incident, there may be more air responses than there currently is right now, just based on the traffic that will be set up in the MOT.
Great. Thank you, Neil. Excellent. Where can a guide for getting around during the construction be found online? I feel like we are one of those commercials, but restorethecorridor.com is a great place to find that out. Seriously, that is kind of like your one-stop shop for this. And there is the manual / hard copy and we'll have that electronically available. Bill, you jump to that. I don't know if Linda or somebody else wants to talk to this guide.
I can. It's currently it's on one of the rotators on the website. So you can click on it and the PDF is up there. And basically what it has in it is telling you why the project is being done, the different phases, and what's going to be, as far as traffic patterns go, what's going to be found in each phase. There's information about the commuting solutions. There's also 2 different maps showing ramp and lane closures. So
awesome.
Yeah, pretty much anything you might need to know.
Excellent. Thank you. Next question is, what is the best email to use for asking specific commuting questions? Not just specific commuting questions, but any questions about this construction, the process, or comments can be sent to the email at restorethecorridor.com. CR, is there any other way, or I don't know the number by heart that they can call to reach community relations. Did you want to respond to this?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, info@restorethecorridor.com is our email address dedicated for this project. But again, community relations is here to help. And we can be reached by phone at 760-2080 and at dotpr@delaware.gov. I'll write that and post that in the chat as well.
Thank you very much. Now I'm moving on to the questions that were put in while we've been talking. So I got to kind of read these, and I apologize for that. Okay, here's one. The contraflow implementation will be a hard change on March 1st. We are concerned that it will be confusing to motorists. Has DelDOT planning to engage Wilmington Police during the first week or so of the ramp closures? Neil?
Craig. Yes. So we have been coordinating with Wilmington Police also. They've been involved in our EMS meetings. At this point, we have not specifically indicated that they will be out there for the first shift, but obviously if we feel that there's a need, I think we're in a little bit better position than what occurred on 495. For the one reason I mentioned before was that now that DelDOT actually has control of all the traffic signals within the city, over 200 of them, they actually can modify the signal time. And back in 495, the incident occurred. At that time, the city didn't have remote communication to their signals and actually manually would have to go out to each individual location and retime the signal, which obviously is inefficient. That's all now been addressed by being able to remotely access them and make modifications. So right now, that is the first approach, is to utilize the technology that's been put in place. And then obviously we'll keep monitoring and assess as we continue, Craig.
Thank you very much. I got a question here. It says, what do the new sound barriers look like? And will there be new artwork put on the blank walls, etc.? There's been some crossing bridges over I-95 in the city that have had some murals painted by certain community groups, and it's worked out real well. And I think some of that will be addressed. As far as the new barriers and what they look like, I don't think that we have that, Bill. We don't have that in this presentation, but we can certainly respond to this and maybe post something the way when we do the question and answer. But it will be a clear, basically a concrete F shape. F shape, it probably means is Greek to everybody else, but basically, yeah, a concrete barrier with a clear, safe barrier above it. With the W etched into it, but we have that, and we can definitely. It's been posted before, so we'll get that to you.
Yeah, Craig, just to follow up on that, this acrylic barrier, we actually worked with the mayor's office, and we had several meetings to talk about it. The actual barrier is clear, but we'll have kind of a sky blue color as opposed to what's out there now, which is kind of antiquated.
That's right.
So. Yeah. It'll be located wherever you see the barrier now, and Craig was referencing the old metal barrier with the fancy W on it. Wherever that's located now, we're going to have this acrylic barrier. And again, it'll have a white W on it to represent the city of Wilmington. It'll be a light blue color. And yeah, I think what we can do is we can probably post some images that we presented to the city so folks can see what's going to get installed later this year.
Yeah, I know we've had it on previous, and maybe I don't know if we archive previous presentations on the site, but maybe that's something we could do. But we can definitely get that put up. The site map, this goes to, I guess, maybe Linda in CR. The site map on the app does not have anything marked as to how far up the highway does this project go. Up to Marsh Road, and where does the corridor project end below Wilmington, please? Now that is shown. I guess I just saw the presentation go away. This does extend. I can say, just verbally without the, there it is, the presentation being up, but it does extend basically from south of the Blue Rock Stadium all the way up to the Brandywine Bridge, and I think here it is right here. Now, maybe it doesn't show it on the app, and perhaps that can be changed.
Yeah, right here, as we said, the 495-95 split here and all the way up past Brandywine to just before the 202 interchange. So this heavy blue line, that's the entire limits of the project that will be reconstructed.
Okay. Well, Neil, this is for you, and I'm not sure you even know. It may be unfair to ask you this, because I don't. I do know how we deal with traffic lights, but you're well versed in it. So Neil, I'm going to rely on you here. Or will DelDOT take control of the 4 lights in Newport, since Route 4 is a substitute road? Getting through there can be a nightmare.
I can answer that, Craig. So actually, those signals are under DelDOT control. I have flagged this. I know exactly the 4 intersections that you're talking about. It's at the off ramps at 141 and Route 4. So I've got it flagged, Craig. We will take a look at it and obviously modify as necessary based on the traffic conditions. But yes, I know exactly where they're talking.
Me too. And here's one for you too, Neil. There was a reference of 2 lanes and 1 lane traffic. Do you mind reiterating, are we ever going to have 2 lanes in both directions during this period?
So I guess to make it real simple, is anywhere there's 3 lanes today on 95, northbound or southbound, there will be 2 lanes. And anywhere there's 2 lanes, which is essentially in the center part of the city area and the at-grade portion, there'll be 1. So essentially you'll have 1 less lane of traffic than what currently is in place today. Bill could pull up the slide. It'll actually show the 3 lanes and then how it gets reduced to 2.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Will DelDOT give another presentation on this subject? I will say this, we are very happy to, this team is very happy to go to any community group, any business, school or whatever needs to have a presentation. We can show this presentation. We can cater a presentation to you, because honestly, we really do want to get word out here, and we want to lessen the impact of this project. And it's impossible to fully get rid of all the impacts, but we really need to hear from you during the process. And that's why I can't info@restoredcorridor.com. You cannot tell us enough comments, good or bad. It really doesn't matter because it helps us get through this. So yes, this will be presented again. We do plan on having another outreach fairly soon, probably in the next two weeks, to discuss some other phases. We want to talk to you when traffic is changing in each phase. I also want to remind you that there's billboards, and really the best place is restorethecorridor.com to find all your needs, and then get the traffic updates and all that in case you forget, hey, there was a public meeting, that you'll get alerts on your phone, and that sort of thing. Okay, someone is trying to tell us, I was referring to the on-ramp a bit north of I-495. What I would like to add, it looks like it's from Lynn. What I would like to ask them to do is if you could please send an email to restorethecorridor.com, and we can address your question directly.
Craig, I think I might be able to help.
Oh, okay, cool.
Be able to help Lynn with this one. I think she's referring to the on-ramp from I-295 to northbound 95.
Ah, yes.
And there will be a change. I think she may have been referring to the weave that occurs as you come on from there. You have to weave across to get off at the downstream exit. Since we're only going to carry 2 lanes north onto 95 North, just north of 495, that ramp today that comes on as an add lane will actually change and come on as a merge condition into one of the 2 northbound 95 lanes. So there will be a change in operation that should actually make the weave a little bit easier, because you'd only be weaving over 1 lane to make the exit to go into the city.
Perfect. Thanks. Well said, Neil. Neil, stay there. You're the popular one today. Earning your money, earning your keep tonight, Neil. Some communities within stage 1, and this is a really good question, in stage 1A and 1B will likely have secondary impact from the posted detour routes, specifically Happy Valley and West Center City. These communities will have additional traffic impacts as folks follow their traffic apps versus the detours. Very good point. Will communities receive any additional notice prior to the detour signs going up?
So when you say notice, obviously there'll be significant outreach done to inform communities about when ramps are going to be closing. So there is a ramp to close in the first phase that would potentially affect the neighborhood, depending on the neighborhood and what the signed detour is. But in the first phase 1A, from Delaware Avenue to northbound 95 is still open. So it's the ramp from 10th Street to 95 North will be closed. And again, I mentioned detours to take them 11th Street to Jefferson to 12th to then go right turn on Adams to go on to 95 North, which in theory does not wrap itself through Happy Valley. But I guess from a PR standpoint, I mean, CR or Linda, in terms of how you're going to reach out before these closures occur. But that obviously people will be notified before we close ramps.
10-4. Okay. Good question. Thank you. And like I said, we will be, pushing out a lot of public information and public outreach before all of our phase changes, which means that's prior to your detours. So please stay tuned to the site, and we will be reaching out to you accordingly. I think Kevin here says traffic jams, rest stops. Another question, maybe feels like I'm not really sure what they mean by, maybe, Neil, we're referring to pull-offs where you can pull off during traffic issues. Like, do we have any of that on this?
Essentially, Craig, just due to the fact that we're running a contraflow operation, we are essentially taking the shoulder, an existing shoulder today, and converting it to a travel lane. So for the most part, Craig, we do have very limited areas in the center city area where we only have 1 lane in direction where there is some shoulder. But for a large majority of the area, we won't have a shoulder because we are taking the shoulder and converting it to a travel lane.
Gotcha. I got, what towing company will be utilized. We're not sure about that yet. There's different things that need to be done contractually, et cetera, pricing and all that. So I don't think anyone can answer that question right now. Stay tuned. We'll find out soon enough. Employment opportunities for Wilmington residents. Donnie, would you mind addressing that as you have before?
Absolutely. So, I mean, we are working as a union contractor, but we are certainly looking for local, crafts folks, whether it be carpenters, operators, iron workers, laborers. We're always looking to add to our project staff. So we're looking for engineers, superintendents, business staff, anybody that would have any interest. Certainly, I don't know the best way, Craig, whether through Restore the Corridor or with a resume or whether they reach out to you or me directly. But we are absolutely looking to add to our team and hire local. And the vast majority of our crafts folks are already local employees. And we want to continue to add to that and benefit the local economy as much as we can.
I think what you listed is the best way to contact all parties. Thank you. Did we get the feel that companies are embracing our suggestion for work schedules? Yes and no. I mean, it's always different, I'm sure they seemed open to different ideas. I'm sure they took it back to their companies and discussed it. What businesses decided to do something like that, I do not know at this point. We do have something off topic about another ramp northbound on Concord Pike. This can be addressed on a question and answers post, and maybe CR or one of us can reach out to this person. So I think it's John. If you could please send an email to Restore the Corridor, even though this really isn't going to be affected in this project, but we can probably get you an answer on that. The northbound traffic going from Baynard on a Concord Avenue was very heavy during the last shutdown. I strongly suggest that a dedicated left turn, perhaps with automation for volume, be installed. And Neil, I believe you addressed this earlier. Sorry
I have, Craig, and I've already sent an email to the forces to put this on the list to make sure it gets looked at.
Okay, thank you. I got something here say for traffic lights that will now be monitored and controlled from Smyrna. I'm not sure how to answer this. Will there be any signage for these signals indicating that these things can change from their normal rhythm? That's another one that I think that we may need to address offline because Smyrna is pretty south of this. So I got another person that's asking about, and Kathleen, do you know much about train routes? I know Julie's not on, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, what's the question? Because
the question is, I've been nighttime trains from Newark to Wilmington, late Fridays and Saturdays. SEPTA doesn't seem to be helping them out, so we maybe during this 3-year, nothing on SEPTA and Amtrak 30 to 60, but SEPTA can't help out during this 3-year construction project is the question mark.
I know that we have just added a link to SEPTA and their schedules on the Restore the Corridor website. And if there is a specific, what we'll do, we'll get back to them directly and get them in touch with an individual at SEPTA. So
yeah, I think that's best. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. Here's a good question. Have any other states been notified about alerting to take other routes? That's a very good question. CR, did you?
Yes, we have been communicating with our neighboring states well in advance of this project and leading up to it. We've also been working with groups like AAA Mid-Atlantic. I know they just sent an email blast out to the whole Mid-Atlantic region. Nearly 200,000 customers got the communication about the 95 project. So again, for folks who are traveling through Delaware, their destination is not Wilmington, we want them to use 495. And for the most part, that's already the case. So we're going to have plenty of signage, both on the southern end, when you're coming north at the 495 and 95 split, directing through traffic to 495, and same at the Pennsylvania state line. So we've continued to be in contact with them, and they're aware of what's happening, and they also share with us because Pennsylvania also has numerous projects on their stretch of 95. So we do communicate on a regular basis about what's going to be happening and when.
All right, hang in there. I got a few more for you, CR.
Sure.
The next one is you talk to employers in the cities. Did we reach out to others like Amazon, the hospital, Sally Mae, Christiana Hospital, so to speak? I do know the answer, but I thought maybe you could answer that too.
Yes, we've actually worked very closely with Christiana Care. I had another meeting with them earlier this week. They've been very engaged. Obviously, they're one of the largest employers in the city, and there's many people coming and going from there on a daily basis for medical appointments and things like that. So we've been engaged with all of these, all of our business community in Wilmington, working through the Chamber of Commerce and really just trying to cover all the bases with all of the organizations in the city.
Perfect, thank you. And then finally, and Neil maybe can piggyback on this, but with the apps such as Waze, have the changes in traffic directions prior to the change? Well, that's such. Are we notifying these like Waze and other apps about the changes to the traffic?
Yeah, and CR maybe ought to chime in, but yes, that was talked about to reach out to them. Part of the problem a little bit, Craig, with them is sometimes it's hard for them to reprogram their system because their system is set up to take you the shortest path. But yes, they should be reached out to talk about the project. Definitely let them know about ramp closures that are going to be in place so that their apps aren't sending people to ramps that are closed during construction.
And we do have a collaborative relationship with Waze already in place, well in advance of this project regarding just traffic monitoring in Wilmington and across the state. We actually had a conversation with Apple earlier this week about their mapping system. And again, what we're hoping that we want the default to lead, especially traffic that's not coming into Wilmington specifically, to take them automatically to 495. So there's just no guesswork around that, and we're not putting extra cars on the reduced capacity of I-95 unnecessarily.
Thank you, CR. You can take a drink of water now. I'm going to move on. Good job. And thank you, everyone, for your questions. I'm sure some people have dropped off. Some people still hanging on there. I promise you we'll try to get to your questions. We'll be on here till 8 o'clock. So keep them coming if you're interested. Again, restorethecorridor.com is your best information gathering. Even after this, all this will be posted, including the questions and answers. After the meeting as soon as possible. We're going to have to get them all together. It may take a day or so to get that stuff posted. And a recording. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
And Craig, I know you sorry to interrupt, but I understand you were going to mention the recording will obviously be posted on the website tomorrow. I also just wanted to revisit an earlier question regarding signal timing. And
Perfect.
I think what they were referencing is that we've obviously brought these 200 plus signals that were formerly just isolated and only able to be have their timing adjusted by City of Wilmington technicians. We've incorporated those into our DelDOT network. And yes, through the TMC, the Transportation Management Center in Smyrna, we'll be able to adjust those. So signals do have different timing based on a different time of day. So there isn't one normal rhythm. Again, at night, you may, if you're out in the middle of the night and you're at a traffic light that you frequently go to during the day, you may notice that the green is much shorter. So we try to have signals responsive to the amount of vehicles that go through them at a given time of day. So we'll continue to be monitoring these in real time and making adjustments as best we can. And when we're noticing more traffic flowing through different intersections, we'll be making real time adjustments as best we can to help move additional cars through.
Yeah, I can follow up with what CR said, and CR is absolutely correct. We will have different timing plans by different time of day. That is normal. We actually are developing individual timing plans during detours when we know we're going to have significant traffic being detoured off of the interstate. We will actually have timing plans in place for them as traffic is traversing through those signalized intersections. So yes, we will have exactly what CR just indicated.
Thank you, guys. Neil, because you spoke up, when will the ramp from MLK southbound 95 be closed? I guess maybe state the phase and the duration that it will be closed.
So the ramp from southbound, what was the question, Craig?
Yeah, it says the ramp from, I guess it's MLK to southbound 95, the one that you can get in. Okay.
Yes, so that's going to be closed when we come back on the next presentation to inform you of the updates on and impacts to northbound. For the first week that we just discussed today, that ramp from MLK to southbound will remain open. It actually gets closed as the next step as we move forward into the implementation, but it will be closed in phase 1A, and that ramp is the one that's converted to a northbound off ramp during the phase 1A construction, Craig.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. It looks like Julie posted on, if you want to look at the chat box, search through there's the SEPTA schedule, and the actual website is actually in the chat room, just to let you know if you were looking for that. The project time was listed as 2 to 3 years. Is this for both southbound and northbound side, or 2 to 3 years for each side? And to answer that question, it's for both sides, both northbound and southbound. Moving on, does the contract contain certain incentives and penalties to ensure a timely completion? As Donnie would tell you from Kiewit, they are never late. They will probably get to have incentives, but we do have incentives and disincentives in case there are issues, and also to accelerate the program. And I'd like to add too, we're using something called CMGC contracting, which is probably doesn't mean a lot to other people, but that allowed us to team up with the contractor during the design phases, as opposed to just bidding this out and really talking to them about how they would get this job done. And that's allowed us to make sure that there's less issues out in the field. Donnie, do you want to brag a little bit here? Or?
Sure, I'd like to kind of also mention, this was DelDOT selected Kiewit based on a proposal and based on best value. And one of the reasons that we were selected is just based on our reputation of on-time performance. So, I know the secretary and several others did a lot of research on our company, talking to a lot of references. And one of the things that makes our company successful is delivering on our promises. And so this project, we don't anticipate to be any different. We are very schedule driven, focused on success and partnership with DelDOT. So, with safety at the forefront, we are intending to meet or beat the schedule.
And I would like to add that they did a bridge. They, being Kiewit, finished a bridge on time, on schedule. They were one of the only companies that said it could be done down there in Rehoboth over the canal. Great job, guys. But that also plays into the decision that we have direct experience with Kiewit being able to do these things. So we do appreciate that, Donnie.
Thank you, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, also that they asked about 2 to 3 years. There will be only disruption on I-95 for 2 years or less, but not 3 years.
Okay. Thank you, Percy. And also, I noticed here that at 7:09, which was almost 30 minutes ago, CR, our director of community relations, has put into the chat box the contact information. So the email address, then the telephone number. Thank you, CR, and then also a link to the guide. So thank you for you all posting those things. Let me keep going down. Will police or anyone enforce the bus lanes to make sure they aren't bogging them down? Neil, did we address this specifically? Sorry, I can't talk. Go ahead.
No, I mean, hard for me to say exactly where they're talking about, but I flagged this issue, and that's something we'll notify the city about to ensure that they, police that and don't have vehicles bogging down the bus lanes.
Yeah, and like any project we have, the authorities, meaning the police, do know about it, and if there are issues, that are brought to our attention, we can call enforcement out and work with the local law enforcement and state law enforcement to regulate issues like speeding, et cetera, and safety issues. So if there is an issue with that, we can address it. I like this one from Peggy Lubin. You've become my favorite constituent. It says, thank you for this presentation, exclamation point. You're welcome. Moving on. Okay, hold on one sec. Let me read this one. Sorry, I've caught up to myself here. Okay, Kathleen, if you don't mind, and I believe Julie may be on, but not is muted. But the question regarding transportation for the people of Wilmington, can you please clarify if DART will provide service from the Christiana Mall to Wilmington?
Yeah.
It wasn't clear to this person that a route would be available in the presentation.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, from Christiana Mall, there's a couple of routes, but I know the Route 5 goes into the Wilmington train station. Excuse me, the Wilmington Transit Center, and we can make sure that she goes right onto the DART First State website, and she can look at the different routes that are available. We can get to her directly and make sure that she knows all of the routes that are available that are coming in.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Sure.
Neil, I don't think this is going to be affected, but I've been wrong before. The 495 South exit to 12th Street, will that be affected? My answer is no.
Sorry, Craig. Yes, that is one of the diversion routes.
Okay.
Anticipating is people to take 495 to take 12th Street to get into the city. That's one of the intersections at 12th and 13th where we actually did an improvement to accommodate increase in capacity with the double left turn. So yes, we do envision, Craig, that will be a signalized intersection and a route that will be used as a diversion.
And that's why you're the expert. Thank you, Neil. Okay, for the traffic lights that are now monitored and controlled from right now with the state, we're referring to the Wilmington City ones, I believe. Will there be any signage that these indicating that these signals can change from their normal rhythm? Neil, do you
Yeah, I mean, as Craig indicated, CR indicated earlier that there will be different changes. Typically, the signal timing changes that are in place are changes the splits, without getting very technical here. The splits in terms of how much green time various legs get throughout the day and the overall length of the cycle, how long it takes to go all the way around where everyone gets their green indication. So typically we're not changing per se, and it's not signed. It's just really modifying the timing per se.
Perfect. Thank you. I think we're getting to the end here, and I'm sure I probably missed a question. And if you're a person, I missed your question or we didn't answer a question clearly, please reach out to info@restorethecorridor.com. Our goal is to answer every single question. I may have missed something by scrolling up, but it's a little quirky on this because it'll move around as more questions come in. So I promise you I tried my best to answer your questions. And if we did not, let us know. We will be presenting to you often for the next 2 years. You'll get to know us, this team. I'm very proud of how this team has worked with the public up till now. I know nothing is perfect. And we as a department know that we need the public to help us through issues. Sometimes things happen out there that maybe we didn't catch in that day. They're very important. So please keep the channels open and feel free to talk to us, good things and bad things. We'll be happy to respond to you. And also, I want to make this offer again, that if you do have a group, a civic association, anything like that, that has regular meetings or anything that you would like us to present at, please also reach out to the number that was listed by CR. You can reach out to community relations. You can reach out to info@restorethecorridor.com, and we will be happy to reach out to you. Also, if you have any basically complaints or anything like that of things that are going on, that's the same route you can take. And what will happen is our community relations group will take all those questions and we'll divert it to the appropriate person. And I promise you'll get a response back. If you don't, let us know. That is not what the way it's supposed to happen. That would hopefully be an anomaly. But we really do need your help. And we got a few more people in here saying thank you to us for presenting, and we appreciate you saying that too.
And hey, Craig, if I can interrupt,
Go ahead, CR.
it's CR McLeod again. Just for folks who are interested in, again, hearing more information about this, we will be presenting to the Newcastle County Council next Tuesday at their Land Use Committee hearing. So for folks who do tune in to the local governments, we'll be doing a shorter presentation there and answering questions to ensure our county officials are up to speed and informed. And I did see Councilman Smiley on earlier and some other legislators. So we appreciate their help in sharing information and getting all this out to their constituents. And then we'll also be presenting coming up in February to the City of Wilmington at their Public Works and Transportation Committee. So more opportunities to come to hear from us. Probably more than you want to, but our goal is to just get information out as we have it. There's going to be a lot happening here as we move into the month of February, and we want to be as transparent as possible. So you can plan your commutes, how this is going to impact our local community, and ensure that everyone has the information they need. So please stay tuned, and much more to come.
Right, and I think I'm getting a lot of thank yous, and thank you for that. I'm not getting any more questions, but I wanted to tell you again, just to piggyback on what CR said, this is not the end of the questions. You can ask questions at any time, and if you know anybody that wasn't able to make this, please tell them that they can get the recording online. And please guide them to the different, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is they choose to use, and to get the alerts. Spread the word as much as you can. And I think that'll work out. I wasn't sure if anybody else, Bill or anybody on the team, Percy, Donnie, or anybody wants to add anything while we're waiting for a few questions. If we don't get any more, I am getting this about controlling potholes for motorcycle safety. That's something, CR, if you don't mind highlighting that one, and maybe we can reach out to that person directly. And go ahead.
Sure, and and it's not just in this project area, but around the state.
Yep.
If you are encountering a pothole, you can contact us by hitting #77, and that will connect you with a live person at our transportation management center, which is staffed 24/7, and you can report the area where that pothole is, and we'll put that on our work list and get out and address that. So we're always looking, but again, we need the eyes of folks who are out on the roads each and every day, and we want to get those repaired as quickly as possible. So #77, or you can even use the DelDOT app to report a condition. There's you can click for a pothole there, and you can find that on our website. So yeah, definitely let us know if you are encountering issues like that. So I did just see one more question pop up.
Me too.
Yep. That I did address as well, but the 14195 construction. So that project is currently on schedule to be completed in the spring of 2022. And what we've done, though, is prioritize getting that work at the I-95 141 interchange done first to, again, alleviate any impacts that will have on I-95 traffic. So as you may currently see, we're working on getting those last two bridge structures that go over southbound 95 completed. So we are very eager to get that done. It's going to be a great improvement when that is completed. So we'll continue to provide updates on 141 as it moves along. But yes, it is on schedule. We know it's been a long time, but it's been long overdue, and this corridor is going to be vastly improved when it's all said and done.
Okay, I do have someone that's asking to repeat the site for online viewing. It's restorethecorridor.com. That's restorethecorridor.com. And if you're like me, a corridor has two R's. well, really 3, but anyway, but you can look up how to spell it. But here it is again, restorethecorridor.com.
And Craig, that'll be under the Stay Informed tab at the top under meetings.
Very good. Thank you.
And Craig, I just saw someone ask what time next Tuesday's meeting is. So that's Newcastle County Council on Tuesday, February 2nd at 3 p.m. is their land use committee hearing where we'll be presenting to the members of county council. And if you go to the county council website, there will be a link there so you can, it's obviously will be a virtual meeting as they all continue to be. And, we welcome anyone joining us there to hear. And if we have any updated information, we'll be sharing it with council and the members of the public who join that meeting.
Awesome. We got, can we use #77 to report signs? Yes, you can also call that maybe have metal sticking out. This is important to me in the bridge design section. So if you can reach out to TMC, and you can also, I assume they can use #77 also. Is that true, CR?
Yep. Use #77. That's again, I'm just seeing Tony just posted there about metal rods sticking up out of the cement. Yeah. Any potential hazard or issue, that's please call and let us know so that we can have one of our crews dispatched to take a look at it. Those are important things to know. And again, we've got a lot of miles of roadway. We can't be on every one of them 24 hours a day. So when you encounter something, again, it doesn't just have to be project related. You can use #77 to report issues that are everyday issues that you may encounter, and we welcome that. That's important. So we want to obviously make sure we address those as quickly as possible.
Okay. I haven't gotten any questions here for the last, I guess I should say, minute or so. Did anyone else want to want to say anything? Want to close up, Percy? I'm not sure if Jason was able to get off mute. If he is, maybe he wants to. Bill, if you want to add anything, or
I think you have said it.
yeah.
All we can say for those who are still on, thank you very much. And this is a very important project, and DelDOT is doing everything possible so that the public can have all the information that they need. So thanks again, and see some of you on Tuesday.
Yes. Bill, did you want to add anything? Or I feel like we've touched on a lot, so maybe you don't. I'm just giving you the opportunity.
I'd like to say thanks to you, Craig. You did a nice job to moderating. It was a difficult evening for a lot of folks, but I appreciate your expert moderation, if that makes any sense. No, again, the design team thanks to the community for joining us, and we look forward to working with them. It's just the beginning, and we're always going to keep everyone informed. So, and we love the feedback. And if we're doing something great, let us know. If not, we'll improve. But I think so far so good. We're all looking forward to a successful project.
And if I could just offer one more time, this is CR McLeod with Community Relations. For those of you that do utilize social media, Twitter and Facebook, please follow us there. We will be posting information and again, signing up for text alerts and email alerts for this project, which you can do on the website. We promise we won't spam you unnecessarily. We want to share the information as quickly as possible, and understand everyone's busy and you may not have time to go look as you're going about your day. So if you wouldn't mind getting a text message from us saying, hey, this ramp's going to be closed and we're switching phases, etc., please do that. We want to make sure these are helpful resources to everyone as you go about living your lives while we get this project done, and we want to make sure that we're keeping you informed so you're not encountering any unnecessary closures or detours that you weren't expecting because we've changed phases. So please stay connected with us as the project gets up and going, and we'll be doing our best to communicate information out just as soon as we have it.
With that, CR, would you, how do you feel? Do you think we should go ahead and end this now, or do we want to just sit silently until 8 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad we can. I think we can formally close out. I'll keep the. I'm going to keep the presentation open just for another 10 minutes, and if any other questions pop up in the chat, I'll be glad to address them. So if anyone wants to chat one on one, I'll stay on for a few minutes, and then we'll close at 8. And again, for others that are looking to see this, we're going to get this turned around quickly. The presentation itself, if you're interested in the slides, looking at them more closely, or sharing them with a friend or neighbor, that the presentation will be posted, and also we'll have the video posted as well. So again, really I believe by our count at the peak we saw about 440 attendees tonight. So that means a lot to us for each of you taking time out to learn more about the project, ask us questions, and make sure you've got the information you need. So we'll look forward to continuing to engage with you as the project gets started.
Okay, so I guess you're in control of the presentation, or is it Bill? I guess you can give it over to CR, and all of us can sign off. But again, it sounds like CR said he would be on to chat if you need anything.
And I just saw a question from Linda pop up. There will be future meetings. We are going to be sharing, again, very soon, probably in the next 2 weeks, we're going to hold another session that highlights sort of what after we get through that first weekend of the changeover work, beginning February 12th, we're going to share another, we're going to do another session because, again, we don't want to overwhelm you all with information. So we'll get through that first weekend. We'll come back and do another session and talk about what can be expected as we get into the later part of February. So we hope you'll all join us, and we'll share the information out on all the channels. And again, so yes, there will be future meetings. The next question I just saw from Angie is your Facebook page up and running? Yes, it is. You can follow us. You can find us. Just put in Delaware Department of Transportation, and you can like us. And we're posting information there constantly. And then from Randy, we did talk about this a little bit earlier about the area under the viaduct, the recreational areas. Again, depending on where you are in the city, obviously the Brandywine River Bridge, if you're up in that area, Brandywine Park is there. The park will still be open. There may be some detours for folks as we're working on that bridge structure. We want to make sure that it's safe. So we may have to reroute you around off the trails and things like that. But we will be, keeping the park open. And then in terms of we've also added some of the basketball courts for those that are familiar, that are on Jackson Street pretty regularly. We did actually build a couple new basketball courts because we're going to be having to close the ones that are under 95, the viaduct there, while work, and those will need to be closed for a period of time. So yeah, we'll continue to work with the city and ensure that we're keeping recreation areas safe and open throughout the project. And we're also working with some of our local community groups. Just a shout out to Westside Rose for their mural work that they've already done on some of our overpasses. And as this project gets done, I think there's going to be opportunities for additional murals, again, to really help beautify the city. And we want to help do that. We know infrastructure isn't always the prettiest thing for the eye. So anything we can do to work with our community partners to improve that, well, we're certainly going to do.